thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who has a bear rug on his floor, but it's not dead. It's simply too afraid to move, Mike Van de Bogard.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you once again to all of our loyal listeners for tuning in this week. We've got just a few announcemos before we get rolling here. So first, I'd like to give some shout-outs to our new Patreon supporters. We've got Lilac's Girl, Brownin Trahan, Ray Jones, Connie Schomer, Zoe Skatos, and Brandon Warren. So thank you so much for supporting the show.
Can they make up their own names? Is that how it works? Or do you think her name is Lilac's Girl?
No, I think, yeah, you can put whatever you want
okay.
in there, I think. So thank you to everyone who signed up since our last episode. We have a long list of things we'd love to do to the studio. So the more the support, the better. I'd like to give a special episode suggestion shout out to Diana Clark. She recommended this to us over on Instagram. This case is very recent. It happened just in the last couple months. So it should be very interesting to cover a case that's kind of still unfolding a bit. And then finally, we've got some new updates on just where you can find the show. So for all of you that are listening via Patreon, they have now partnered with Spotify, which is pretty cool. And all of our content now is on a special subscription show page on Spotify. And you can listen and watch the episodes right through Spotify now. You just have to link your Patreon account. So
real quick, I'm going to run through that just because I did it. It's not intuitive.
Okay.
So if you're a patron supporter, Mike sent out an update, and it has a link to the patron show.
But anyone can go to it.
Yeah, anyone can go to it, but that's where you have to go, and you just have to click on one of the episodes. It'll have a little lock on it. When you click on it, it will prompt you to link your patron account. So there's not like an area that says link your account. It doesn't. There's no button. So just click on one of the episodes, and then it will prompt you to link it.
So I listen to all my stuff through Spotify, so it's pretty cool. The experience is just the same as any other podcast, so very cool. We also are now, if you are a Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, an X user, it's still weird to say, and that's where you like to consume all your content. We are uploading all of our past library to X. So feel free to go onto there and you can watch our content, and we are going to be rolling out subscriptions on X for all of the same content that you can get on Patreon. So just more ways for you to support the show, and view the show in the app that you like. So other than that, if you want to call the show, call 208-391-6913. If you'll notice on our feed, we released the last voicemail show to the public kind of as a promotion. So that is kind of what you'll get for, the voicemail shows, but we do a bunch of other stuff for Patreon. So
it's a lot of fun.
You'll just have to sign up and find out.
Yeah.
Other than that, Joe, any updates?
Nope.
Other than how's your car doing?
Pretty good. We'll go into that in a Patreon episode.
Yeah.
I totaled my car, my cross-country adventures, so we'll cover that on a Patreon episode. So if you want to learn about that story, you got to sign up.
Yep.
But all right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. June 26, 2023. A Belgian tourist living in Tasmania for 6 months was planning to take in the local nature scene by hiking the Philosopher Falls Walking Trail. It is an easy trail that normally only takes 50 minutes to complete. When family and friends could not reach her, they notified local authorities. Join us this week as we investigate the disappearance of Celine Cremer. So if you didn't already pick up on it, we are going outside the United States for this one. We do not have a Tasmania in the United States, so this will be a fun one. Yes, absolutely.
I just sounded like a Boston guy.
Land down under. The Philosopher Falls Walking Trail is roughly 1.6 miles. It's an out and back, meaning you go out and come back the same way you went in. There's only about 357 feet of elevation gain, so it's moderately challenging. It takes about 50 minutes to complete. I called it easy because if you're a regular hiker, that's nothing. A regular hiker would probably do it a little bit quicker. I just did a trail about that length with that much elevation gain, and it was super simple. Additionally, it's well maintained and close to the town. So
that link I have in there, kind of some pictures of it,
just describes it. So I'll open that up probably while you're going through your stuff.
Okay.
So it's near the Savage River National Park. So we're going to really discuss location profile based on that, just because it's the best example.
So yeah, we'll kind of switch in and out of talking about Tasmania as a whole, and then some specifics about this national park, which is pretty close. The information available on some of these areas is a little less than what we're used to covering American national parks. So
yeah, it's just Australia, however they document their things.
Yeah.
So it's 69.4 square miles, so it's slightly smaller than Carlsbad Caverns National Park. It is in Tasmania, Australia, so that is 35,042 square miles, so it's roughly the size of Indiana.
That's the island of Tasmania.
The island.
Yeah.
It was established in 1999. That's Savage River National Park, not the waterfall.
And Tasmania, if I recall correctly, was established in 1901 as a state of Australia.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to have to trust you on that.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
So just habitation history of the area. Evidence indicates the presence of Aboriginal people in Tasmania about 42,000 years ago. So rising sea levels cut Tasmania off from mainland Australia about 10,000 years ago. And by the time European contact occurred, the Aboriginal people in Tasmania had 9 major nations or ethnic groups. At the time of the British occupation and colonization in 1803, the indigenous population was estimated at between 3,000 and 10,000. That's a big gap, actually.
Yeah.
Some fun facts about Tasmania. Tasmania has the world's cleanest air. It's monitored by Cape Grim Baseline Air Pollution Station. The lack of pollution is due to the position of Tasmania in the Southern Ocean, far from other landmasses. Tasmania was first discovered, it's in quotes, on November 24th, 1642 by Abel Tasman. I wonder where the name came from. Although Aboriginal people have lived in Tasmania for at least 35,000 years, Abel Tasman, a Dutch explorer, was the first European to discover Tasmania. He named it Anthony van Dieselmansland, or Anthony van Diemen's Land.
I love that he just named it like
I'm here now.
Like in Family Guy, Pretoria.
Yeah.
Just named it after himself.
Yeah. And he was probably like, I discovered this. It's mine. He was also the governor general of Dutch East Indies, currently known as Indonesia. Despite the official name of Van Diemen's Land, usage of the alternative Tasmania gradually grew, and on January 1st, 1856, it was officially renamed Tasmania. Tasmania has the oldest trees in the world. The Huon pine trees are located in western Tasmania, some of the oldest living things on Earth. The Huon pine tree grows very slowly. A 20-meter tree could be thousands of years old. While the oldest individual tree or stem on site may now be 1,000 to 2,000 years old, the organism itself has been living there continuously for 10,500 years.
That's wild.
So that's like one of those tree networks where they're connected and supporting each other via their root system.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really research into it more, but that's kind of what I'm getting.
I've read a lot about, not that particular one, but those systems like that where
fungus.
Like a tree is growing and has problems, the other trees communicate via the root system with it and can send resources.
Yeah, they actually share resources if one of the trees is, I don't know how they
getting
know
sick
that.
or something.
Getting sick, or it's low on water or minerals or something.
Yeah, we're just going to have to trust smarter people that say that that's true, and it doesn't seem to be refuted yet. So
I've
we'll
seen
see.
that in like legitimate articles from like National Geographic. So I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So
well,
correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, some expert on this topic should call the number.
Joe and I are never wrong about anything, air quotes.
That's 100% true. So the Tasmanian devil is the largest carnivorous marsupial in the world, and those reside in Tasmania.
Yes.
It was established as a secondary place for convict punishment. Between 1804 and 1853, the British government transported about 76,000 convicts to Tasmania for further punishment when they reoffended in mainland Australia, thus creating modern-day Tasmania as we know it, as Aboriginal people were already living there. So if you're already living there, and then the people that they inhabit your island with after they just come and claim it are all criminals.
And not just criminals that went to Australia. They're the ones that were like too bad for that criminal colony. So they took them to Tasmania.
Jeez.
So,
all right, let's talk a little bit about the climate. Tasmania has a relatively cool, temperate climate compared to the rest of Australia, spared from the hot summers of the mainland and experiencing 4 distinct seasons. Summer is from December to February, when the average maximum sea temperature is 70 degrees, and inland areas around Launceston reach 75 degrees. And these are in Fahrenheit for people not wondering. It's not that hot. That'd be bad at Celsius.
Yeah.
Other inland areas are much cooler, with Leewini located at the Central Plateau, one of the coldest places in Australia, ranging between 39 degrees Fahrenheit and 63 in February. Autumn is from March to May, with mostly settled weather as summer patterns gradually take on the shape of winter patterns. The winter months are from June to August and are generally the wettest and coldest months in the state, with most high-lying areas receiving considerable snowfall. Winter maximums are 54 degrees on average along coastal areas and 37 degrees on the Central Plateau, as a result of the series of cold fronts from the Southern Ocean. Inland areas receive regular freezes throughout the winter months. I would never guess that anywhere near Australia gets snow ever.
Well, if you think about it, the next landmass south of Tasmania is Antarctica.
Yeah, and that's where it's just whenever you think of Australia, it is just desert and just poisonous snakes and hot. Yes, like you don't realize, it is pretty far south, and that one's very close to Antarctica.
And it's weird, too, like Southern Hemisphere, your seasons are backwards. So like their winter is our summer.
Yes.
So that would take a bit getting used to.
Yeah. It's like because we're on a globe and not a flat thing.
It's not flat.
Spring is from September to November and is an unsettled season of transition, where winter weather patterns begin to take shape of summer patterns. Although snowfall is still common up until October, spring is generally the windiest time of the year, with afternoon sea breezes starting to take effect on the coast. So we'll talk about some of the terrain. Tasmania, the largest island of Australia, has a landmass of 26,410 square miles and is located directly in the pathway of the notorious Roaring Forties wind that encircles the globe. To its north, I don't even know what that is, a Roaring Forties wind?
Look it up when I'm talking. Okay. I should have put more information on there
No,
because it sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know even what to say about it, so I guess it must be
some kind of like jet stream.
It started in the 40s, maybe. Like what? But I'll look it up.
Maybe it has to do with longitude, latitude.
It probably.
I don't know.
To its north, it is separated from mainland Australia by the Bass Strait. About 1,300 nautical miles south of Tasmania Island lies the George V. coast of Antarctica. So yeah, it is very close. The most mountainous region in the Central Highlands area, which covers most of the central western parts of the state. The Midlands, located in the central east, is fairly flat and is predominantly used for agriculture, although farming activity is scattered throughout the state. Tasmania's tallest mountain is Mount Ossa at 5,305 feet, and much of Tasmania is still densely forested, with the Southwest National Park and neighboring areas holding some of the last temperate rainforest in the southern hemisphere. With its rugged topography, Tasmania has a great number of rivers. Several of Tasmania's largest rivers have been dammed at some point to provide hydroelectricity. So some of the dangers in the area, and this is where I was like, okay, we're going to probably get into some crazy stuff because that's all I know about Australia.
No, and so these animals Joe get into, and then all of the kind of tips for safe hiking are kind of tailored for Tasmania. So some of them may not necessarily be applicable to, say, Glacier.
We'll get calls about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So some of the animals, we have bats, kangaroos, wallabies, wombats, Tasmanian devils,
Crikey.
tiger snakes. They're highly venomous.
You should have put the crocodile hunters cranky in the
Crikey,
soundboard.
yeah.
I should have had to do that.
Yep. Lowland copperheads. They're highly venomous. I'm going to get in so much trouble for my bad Australian accent.
Well, all of the one people from Tasmania that listen.
The white-lipped snake. It's a venomous but less dangerous than the first two snakes.
So from what I gathered is these three snakes are really what you have to worry about in Tasmania, especially the tiger snake. Of the three, that seemed to be the most venomous. And both the tiger and lowland copperhead can kill human adults if you don't get to a hospital.
Okay.
The white-lipped one, from what I read, it's a painful bite, but you're not going to die from it. Probably.
Probably. Unless it gets you like in the neck or somewhere.
Yeah, it
like,
gets a jugular.
Yeah, somewhere important.
Yeah.
Choose the right walk. The Tasmanian Park Service uses the Australian walking track grading system to grade our walks.
I think this is really cool. I wish we did something like this in the U.S.
Well, I use All Trails, but
like an official grading system.
Okay, yeah, because you go on the park websites and it'll just be like, oh, it's moderately difficult, and you're like, what is
strenuous.
that? Yeah, what is that based on?
Strenuous is such a vague term because one person's strenuous is another person's like easy.
Yeah, like some people strain getting out of bed.
Yeah, like I've seen guys on trails that are trail running something that's technically strenuous for me.
Yeah.
So.
Nope, totally agree.
Yeah.
So these easily recognizable icons allow walkers to make an informed choice about the difficulty of the walk and whether it is a suitable choice. So we'll go through the grades right now. Grade 1 is no bushwalking experience required, flat, even surface with no steps or steep sections, suitable for wheelchair users who have someone to assist them. Grade 2, suitable for most ages, the track has a hardened or compacted surface that may have a gentle hill section or sections and occasional steps.
Oh, and to interrupt, for anyone not from Australia, they call their trails tracks.
All right, so,
So
I'm going to start calling them tracks. I like that too. I like everything they're doing so far.
yeah.
Grade 3, some bushwalking experience recommended. Tracks may have short, steep hill sections, a rough surface, and many steps. Grade 4, bushwalking experience. I keep screwing up because we say bushwhacking when you're going through thick forest. So bushwalking experience is recommended at grade 4. Tracks may be long, rough, and very steep. Directional signage may be limited. And then the highest grade, grade 5, is only suitable for very experienced bushwalkers with specialized skills, including navigation and emergency first aid. Tracks are likely to be very rough, very steep, and unmarked. That is a great system.
Yeah, I feel like it would help people who are new to hiking that aren't quite sure of, a trail or don't do their research. Like this could be a really easy way to know.
Well, think about the amount of people who go on the wrong trails with the wrong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Either they didn't look it up or just went online. And when people see people's opinions, they almost tend to be like, well, that's just them.
I mean, it's kind of like skiing, like black diamonds I know from, when I have been skiing, it's very easy for me to know what's the hardest run and, what I don't want to do.
Yes.
So,
as always, this applies to our parks too. When you're packing for these types of trips, you want to pack for, are you doing a day hike, alpine hike, multi-day, those types of things? You want to make sure you're packed appropriately for those. And you never want to rely on cell phone service. We always say bring your cell phone because it is smart in case you do get signal.
Great
but
cameras.
Yeah, it's great cameras. If you were following any of my adventures through Canada and saw those images, that's all from my cell phone. I don't have a professional camera. So cell service in most areas where the hikers go is non-existent. So the Park Service and most SAR recommend going in groups. And
most SAR groups.
most SAR groups recommend. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hikers carry a EPRIB, emergency position indicating radio beacon, EPIRIB, or a PLB, personal locator device.
So this was right on their National Park Service website, and a lot of the search and rescue groups in Tasmania all have this recommendation. If you're going out hiking, carry one of these devices.
And you can like rent them.
Yeah.
There's a couple services where you can rent them and they're not super expensive. And especially if you're out of a country, it's not a bad thing to have on you.
I think if I was hiking anywhere internationally, even if it was in like Switzerland or Germany, I would have a PLB.
Well, and some of those rescue services too, like private rescue, are not that expensive. When I went to Africa, I paid for one.
Yeah.
I forget what the name was, but they basically, it's like ex-Navy SEALs run this company.
Yeah.
And you pay, it's like insurance. It was only a couple $100, but you could be like in Afghanistan, like in a terrorist compound. And if you get a hold, they'll try and helivac. Yeah. They like, it was really cool. I felt neat having it.
And at the end of the day, like no matter what the cost is your life worth less than $10,000 if you break a bone and can't get out of somewhere remote? I mean, I would pay that to live.
Yeah. I think most people would love to.
Yeah.
And if you can't pay that, contact us and we could, I know I have affiliates with some of these sites. So
end of the day, if you buy the device and you have to trigger it because of a serious injury or you lost, it's not like they're going to show up, run your credit card. If you don't have the money, they're going to leave you there. They're going to get you. And you'll have to figure out how to pay for it later. Yeah. If it's not covered by
if you've been rescued, how about let's do this to our listeners. If you've been rescued and you're stuck with some sort of rescue bill, contact us and we will try and source that through our group. I can't guarantee anything, but we have a lot of listeners now. If your life was saved by that, we'll figure it out and we'll help you through it.
Yeah.
You want to make use of logbooks. So make use of logbooks along various trails so authorities know where to start looking for you if you get separated from your group or lose your way. And always sign out when your hike is completed. And don't be too proud to turn back if the weather or track conditions make it difficult to keep going. If you do get lost, if you're still unsure of your location, give 3 blasts on a whistle, mark out 3 lines in the snow or earth, or yell 3 times. Any pattern of 3 is standard distress signal, and that is internationally. 3 of anything stands out, and that's why you want to do it. So if you can make a fire, they talk about make 3 fires, because if you're walking through the woods and see campfire, it might look normal.
Yeah.
If you see 3 campfires like 10 feet apart, you're like, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Ocean swimming. Tasmania's oceans can also be unpredictable. So during the summer months, pay careful attention to lifeguard warnings before entering the water. If you do get into trouble in the water, stay calm and signal for help and float while you wait for assistance. So for year-round hiking in Tasmania, you can hike all year round, but be sure to pay close attention to weather forecasts in the lead up to your hike, particularly from June to November when the snow and rising river levels can make walking difficult. And bushfires and planned burns. When planning your trip, you should include refuge areas in case of bushfire, and if caught on foot, you should seek shelter. Field staff can help you with this information before you head out. Check the weather and fire conditions.
That's something that we've never really had to worry about here. I've hiked through areas that have been just totally scorched, but that's not a concern I've usually had.
Yes. All right, you want to talk about Celine?
Yeah, so I was talking to Joe before we started today, and this case is very new, and unfortunately, we do not have very much information about Celine as a person. We know she's from Belgium, and she's age 31, and she had last contact with family and friends. Now, I saw conflicting reports on this, so it's in my notes somewhere. So when I come across it, I'll correct the record. But a lot of places reported that she had last contact with family and friends on June 16th of 2023, so not too long ago. And then her family and friends reported her missing to the Tasmanian police on June 26th of 2023. As of yesterday, the remains have still not been found. Like we said, she's a female, age 31, and we really don't have any more information on Celine. We know that based on police reports, she was not prepared for the conditions that she was hiking in. So she was hiking in June. So remember, that is their winter. But
it was supposed to be that quick hike. Not saying that you should never be prepared.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time, but it was a well-maintained trail.
Yeah, it's a mile and a half.
Okay.
And yeah, it takes less than an hour to do the whole thing. So
I'll pull up the preview on the All Trails. So if you're watching the video while Mike's talking, you'll see a preview of what the trail's like.
Yeah, so, regardless of, the trail, she was hiking in winter. The conditions were pretty poor. Based on the reports I could find, she was not prepared with either gear or clothing to be in these conditions. So probably played a major factor in her disappearance. So we also know that she had been living in Tasmania for roughly 6 months before she went missing. So, and she also did have plans to travel to Victoria via the Spirit of Tasmania ferry on June 21st of 2023, which obviously she didn't make. And she seemed in good spirits. Her final Facebook post from February 22nd of 2023, she shared a photo of herself standing atop Mount Wellington with the quote, "A little devil in Tasmania." So that's really all we know at this time. Like I said, this case is still fresh, and it's an international case. It's not, information has been harder for me to find on this case. But one thing we do have very detailed description of is the search and rescue efforts after she was missing. So between 6/12 and 6/16 of 2023, that's why I said there's conflicting media reports on what day was the final day she had contact with her family. But this range of days would be the last time family and friends spoke with her.
Okay.
So on June 17th of 2023, police reported that she was seen in a nearby town of Waratah. So I know at some point Joe can pull that up on Google and see.
Yeah, I'm just flipping through pictures of the falls. It looks beautiful.
It looks super cool.
A lot of people are taking pictures of mushrooms there.
We haven't done a single case where we've seen the location and I wouldn't want to hike that.
Oh yeah, look at they have the path has actual
paved.
grates and
Yeah, it's graded and some had brick.
Yeah, it's very, very well maintained.
Yeah. I think this trail's probably used a lot in the warmer months.
Yeah.
Based on the infrastructure in place.
This is beautiful.
So like I said, she was actually spotted on June 17th in the nearby town of Waratah. So that is Waratah. So now we are going to move forward to June 20th of 2023. This is a Tuesday. So Celine was believed to have left her car and gone on a day walk at Philosopher Falls on the island's northwest section around June 20th. And this was confirmed by police reports because this is the last time her cell phone pinged a tower. So she reportedly had only prepared for a short day hike. And like I said earlier, she was not equipped for an extended stay in these conditions. Information that law enforcement received later in the month on June 29th indicates Celine might have been seen as early as, June 20th in the Philosopher Falls car park. It's now June 26, 2023, Monday. So family and friends haven't heard from her several days, over a week. They contact the Tasmanian police and file a concern for welfare report for Celine, which I'm assuming is a missing persons report. I tried to look up what that actually meant, but
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So here you can see it on here. It's kind of inland on the northwestern side of the island.
Yeah. And it's right near the falls.
Yeah.
Falls are right in.
I'll find the falls next.
Yeah.
You can keep talking.
So, yeah, like we said, she was reported missing, and family reported that she was driving a white Honda CRV with registration number E40TF. At this time, there was another report that Celine was last seen in Hobart and was believed to be heading to the state's west coast. So we have verified sightings of her in Waratah and Hobart. It's now June 27th of 2023. Her SUV was found unattended in the car park of Philosopher Falls Walking Track. Law enforcement, after finding her car, started searching the area, and they also utilized, Joe's got a picture of the car up now. Yep. That's the exact way it was found. And I have some theories on the car. There's another picture
don't get ahead of yourself.
I won't get ahead of myself, but there's another picture where something looks a little suspect. So we'll get into that later. But so yeah, police, after finding the car, decided to bring out a police search drone. So they had a drone in the area that day after finding the car. It is now June 28th of 2023, which is a Wednesday morning. So ground, SAR teams, and a police drone continued to search the area. There were plans to bring in a helicopter in the afternoon if the weather improved, but conditions were poor with light snowfall in the area. At this time, local law enforcement also closed the Philosopher Falls Walking Track while they did their search. So, and Joe's got pictures of...
Yeah, I was flipping through before we had...
Yeah, and all these pictures are from the search of Celine, so they're not just like random pictures of like search. This is legitimate.
From it's got the little Tasmania police.
That's a cadaver dog that was used on the search, which I'll get into here shortly.
All right.
So it is now June 29th of 2023. This is a Thursday. Weather conditions continued to deteriorate. Snow had fallen in the area over the last weekend and into the week, while extreme cold battered the SAR teams. At this time, there was also a bushwalkers weather alert in place for the area. The hiking trail to the falls remained closed as the search continued. And Joe's now got a picture up of kind of where a car was found, where the falls is, and then zooming out a little bit, where's Waratah. So it's not a very big area.
It's not.
So it's very thick. This isn't like hiking in.
And this line is like a half mile. So this is zoomed in real close.
Yeah.
Because it was 1.6. So it's like maybe, 0.8 miles from where this car is parked to this Philosopher Falls. So it's not a huge distance and it's relatively flat.
Yeah, but if you go off trail, it gets very thick.
Yeah, I can see that through a lot of the images that we're showing here. It's
if you're watching this, you can imagine that if she did some reason go off trail, it would be very tough for searchers to find her.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like a corridor.
Yeah.
Very well defined path. You can't accidentally go off this path.
No.
You would have to on purpose. But if you did, you know what I like to think of? Remember when we were in Glacier?
Yeah.
And we were going across Flat Top Mountain?
Yeah.
And then that group of people just came up on us and they said they saw us from far away.
Yeah.
And they were lost.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
And they could not find the trail or anything. And they saw us and ran to us and were like, thank God. They were climbing some mountain.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see the trail. And there was no trees. There was nothing. We were on a well-defined trail, but it's on the ground.
Yep.
So you go 30 feet off this trail, not even, you're not going to see the trail.
No.
And then if you get turned around a little bit and start heading the wrong direction.
And it's rugged. It's, from what I gathered in my research, it's always damp and wet. So there's a risk of slipping.
You can tell just by looking at it. It looks like just rainforest.
Yeah. And she's hiking in winter, basically. So, you know, conditions are poor. Temp is low. So, like I said, it's June 29th of 23, which is a Thursday. The trail was still closed. Inspector Anthea Mangay said police had growing concerns amid the continuing weather conditions. Quoted, "The search so far has included ground search crews and police drones and helicopters, but unfortunately no further signs of Celine have been located since her car was found in the Philosopher Falls car park on Tuesday," she said. She goes on to say, weather conditions have been challenging over the past few days with freezing temperatures, snow, and rain occurring. She goes on to say, unfortunately, we have received expert medical advice that indicates the recent conditions are not survivable for the length of time that Celine is thought to have been exposed in the wilderness. At this stage, police believe Celine's car has been in the car park since at least June 20th, and our information indicates she was only equipped for a light day walk. The inspector finally goes on to say, the search effort is continuing, but we are dealing with extremely dense bushland, and the challenging weather conditions are expected to worsen over the coming days. So very challenging search environment for searchers. It's thick, it's cold, it's snowing, it's raining, it's windy, and they don't really have a good idea of where Celine really could be. They know her car is in that car park, so that's really all they have to go off of. So it is now June 30th of 2023. This is Friday morning. So the search is continuing, and they're focusing on the Philosopher Falls waterfall at this point. Inspector Anthea Mange said police, search and rescue personnel are rappelling from the viewing platform to search in the surrounding bushland and thick vegetation. She was quoted, "We're continuing our efforts to locate Celine, but as we explained yesterday, we have received expert medical advice that indicates that the recent weather conditions were not suitable for survival." And the trail still remained closed at this time. It is now July 1st of 2023, which is a Saturday morning. The search continued around Philosopher Falls, with SAR teams utilizing ATVs to search a number of tracks around the falls. Police also continued to investigate Celine's movements between June 17th and June 26th. A number of people who are hiking this area between those dates have been contacted by law enforcement to outline what they saw. In particular, law enforcement was seeking out a hiker on the trail June 18th at around 2:30 p.m. as they think this individual may know more. They continue to stress, though, in the police report that this person was not in trouble or under investigation. They just wanted to get information that they might know.
Yeah, if he saw something.
Yeah. So law enforcement actually did track down this hiker, but unfortunately he didn't have any information that could aid in the search. So that was a lead that hopefully would have gone somewhere, but didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It is now July 2nd of 2023, Sunday morning. Tasmania Police Search and Rescue personnel, together with Tasmania SES, conducted further ground searches focusing on a track offset search of Butler's Road. So they're kind of starting to fan out from the falls at this point. So now, same day, July 2nd, it's Sunday afternoon. The Westpac rescue helicopter was put into operation near Philosopher Falls finally. Police stated that a break in the challenging weather conditions allowed for safe operation. So it sucks. They've had a drone, but they weren't able to get the helicopter up until July 2nd. And she potentially was on the trail starting June 20th, reported missing 26th.
I can't imagine what they would see with a drone
That's
or
true.
a helicopter
With that
unless
coverage.
you're on. It's so much canopy.
It's just another tool, but yeah, that's a tough environment for a helicopter to find someone. So July 10th, 2023, this is a Monday. This is when the formal search was suspended. So following a comprehensive review, the police formally suspended the search operation. Commander Stuart Wilkinson said today that the major search, including police, SES ground crews, specialized swiftwater rescue personnel, ATVs, drones, and the Westpac rescue helicopter, have been undertaken in the Philosopher Falls area since June 27th, when Celine's vehicle was located unattended. He goes on to quote, "Considerable search efforts have been undertaken in difficult terrain and treacherous weather conditions, but unfortunately, Celine has not been located." He finally says what we've already heard. Expert medical advice has been received that, given consideration of the poor weather conditions and cool temperatures, Celine could not have survived the conditions based on the gear she was in. So search you think is done. It isn't. So it is now July 31st, 2023. So literally, 2 weeks ago, almost. Police received several new pieces of information enough to reopen the search. Police now believe that her car may have been at the car park as early as June 17th due to cell phone activity. Law enforcement thought strongly enough that she might be in the region still that they brought in a cadaver dog SAR team that searched the area from Friday, July 28th to Sunday, July 30th. And we've talked about this in the past and we've had people comment about, sniffer dogs and cadaver dogs. You think like, it's going to smell something, but if she's been missing for weeks, and it's been raining and snowing and people have been walking around out there, that dog's gonna have a very hard time finding, scent unless they walk right over a body.
Or she's not in the area.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing, like, I want to not be too harsh, but they probably don't sniff necessarily tracks, but the scent of a cadaver.
Yeah.
So the off-gassing and things like that. But that's where I wonder, like, what the range is.
Yeah.
For a dog to do that.
Yeah, and in those conditions,
I'll look
like
that up.
wind direction, moisture in the air, probably all plays a factor. So, like we said, they believe her car was there much early, a few days earlier than they originally thought. So we have another quote from Western District Commander Stuart Wilkinson. He said there had been no sign of Celine during the recent ground searches involving the use of a cadaver dog, with crews encountering more treacherous weather conditions and difficult terrain. While every effort was made during this latest search, sadly, Celine remains missing. He goes on to say, the searchers faced extremely poor weather conditions and every effort was made to try and locate her. When a person remains missing, the case is never closed. We will continue to follow up any new information we receive in relation to Celine's disappearance so we can provide closure to her family, and our thoughts remain with them and Celine's loved ones during this difficult time. And I'll just say this, since this is still an active case, they just wrapped up a second search, 10 days ago or 11 days ago. So anyone locally with information on Celine should call the Tasmanian police 131-444, or they can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-333-000 or online at crimestoppers.tas.com.au.
So real quick,
Yeah.
on the cadaver dog, so they're saying a trained cadaver dog can pick up the scent of a human remains buried deeper than 10 feet underground.
Wow.
Or more impressively, they can find remains underwater, collapsed buildings, and thick snow. They're also able to tell the difference between decomposing wildlife and human. And then I looked further for the range. They have been reported to smell objects or people as far as 20 kilometers away. So that's like 12 miles.
Wow.
So if there was a body out there, if it was a good cadaver dog, you arguably be able to say it should have picked up that scent.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that maybe the theory there is that she never was on the trail. So we'll get into
That's
theories.
kind of what I'm starting to think.
So I guess let's jump right into theories. So I'll just say that law enforcement thinks she just succumbed to exposure. She wasn't prepared with the equipment, clothing. Mm-hmm. It was cold, rainy, snowy. I think that's very plausible. You would then wonder why, first of all, the trail is so short. Even if she only had like a light coat on and, it's a 50-minute walk, if she got, she would be close to the trail if something happened, unless, we've always talked about this. If you get hypothermia and you start making poor decisions, maybe she walks off into the thick wilderness. But I would have thought that if that would have happened, maybe the cadaver dog would have had a better chance of finding her remains. But that was the leading theory by law enforcement.
Okay.
If you go back to the picture of her SUV, not the closer up shot.
I think it's back a couple.
Oh, there
this
we go.
one right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This, to me, is a little suspicious. That park job, and maybe I'm just like really nitpicking, but that doesn't seem like, all right, I'm going to park my car and go hiking for a bit. I don't know if that seems like she hastily parked.
It's like kind of on the road.
It's kind of on the road.
Like it's a gravel road, so there isn't a place to park, but there's like a law. It's kind of in the middle. It's not tucked over.
It also kind of seems like she might have backed in. Like there might have been another car parked there behind where her car is.
Okay.
Because if, I'm just thinking.
It's a little grainy. I wish you could like see like tire marks or something.
Because if I was going to park here and there are no other cars, my first instinct would be to get as far away from the road as possible.
Yeah, right up against that fallen
without
log.
like falling into the woods. So I would have like just driven in and gotten closer to the edge. But if you're backing in because there's another car parked there, it would be harder to do that, and might explain why she parked right there instead of like farther back.
Yeah.
So was there another car there that
Yeah, she like parked right next to it.
and whoever was in that car abducted her, or because, the cadaver dog didn't find anything, the searchers didn't find anything. That's not saying she's not out there, but I'm leaning a little more towards foul play. Now, law enforcement said there was no evidence of foul play,
Yeah.
but the conditions were so terrible with rain, snow, and wind the whole time during the search.
Yeah, and so much time had passed.
So much time had passed from when she was actually out there to reported missing. If there was like a scuffle on the ground from her feet, if someone snatched her, that would probably get, covered up in all the conditions.
Sure.
So, and it might even be tough to see if there were other car tracks out there.
Yeah.
Tread marks. I'm just because this is a really bizarre case. I'm hinging all my theory on how she parked her car. It just doesn't seem like the way I would park.
Okay.
But I don't know. What's your thought?
So I'm trying to look at it from we know very little, but what we do know. So her car's there. It's her car. So she was there.
Yeah.
You get into the whole thing of, did she actually go on the hike? To your point, did she get picked up in the parking lot? Regardless, we feel like she was there.
And the report stated that she was seen in the towns around there, and she had told someone that she was going for a hike in the western area, which would be here.
Yeah, I'm looking up crime statistics just for Tasmania.
Yeah.
So there were 7 murders recorded in 2021 and 2022, and an increase of 1 offense from the previous year.
What's the population of Tasmania? I should have looked that up.
Yeah, let's see.
Because it's all relative.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it was out of 20 million people, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
500,000.
Okay.
So that's the size of the city of Milwaukee.
That's still
a
low.
little less people.
Only,
that's low.
7 murders.
So it says, does Tasmania, Australia is a very safe country, ranks 16 out of 163 for crime. Tasmania is perhaps the safest of all the Australian states or territories, with some of the lowest rates of serious crime in the country. So that's
goes against my theory of
it goes against mine too. Because what only makes sense is that she's not there, but her car is there. So was she taken?
Yeah.
And although crime's low, it's still possible if she had a stalker potentially that knew she was going there.
She'd been living there for a while.
She'd been living there. If somebody close to her knew she was going on that hike and that was their opportunity,
perhaps she was dating somebody. We talked about this in a couple other cases. Guys will do really crazy stuff.
Yeah, Gabby Petito.
That case where the lady went hiking with her husband's friend, and then he came back and she never did.
Yes.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, and they cleared him, but it seemed odd.
But again, and this is all just speculation. The only thing I'm thinking of, she was there for 6 months. That's plenty of time to build, relationships and friendships with people from there. Maybe she started dating someone and they broke up, and the guy was mad and, knew she was going hiking here and, stalked her. And I'm just trying to come up with a theory that makes sense.
Yeah, this is all speculation, but I agree with you. There's things that don't make sense. When you have a search like that, if you're not prepared and it's cold, you're not going to be going crazy off trail.
Yeah.
And even if she did, that's where you have that dog. Let's say it said the best one was recorded, again, in miles, 12 miles away of sensing a cadaver.
Yeah. This
trail is less than a mile, 1.6 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you have a dog on that trail, let's benefit of the doubt. Okay, maybe it's half as good.
Yeah.
You should be able to pick up a scent 6 miles away, maybe only 2 miles away. That's a pretty big radius around that trail that if you're not prepared, that's thick as all get out.
Yeah.
I would look at that and say she is not there.
Yeah.
So if she's not there in her car, that means somebody removed her or she got in another car with somebody else or something is going on that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and there was no indication that her car broke down and she tried to, hitchhike back. So, very puzzling. That's why I'm leaning towards, obviously, not having the required gear for those conditions is a big probability of why she's missing, and the thickness of the location is why searchers may have not found her. Like we said, she may have gotten hypothermia and then was making poor decisions. And one interesting theory, too, is that because she's from the northern hemisphere and she's hiking in the southern hemisphere, she may have gotten, if she's got hypothermia and now is getting confused, she may have gotten mixed up directionally, because your directions are going to be different if you're hiking in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, but
like,
how so? Explain this. It doesn't make sense to me.
all right. So maybe this is really
because the seasons are opposite, but north is still north, south is still south.
I guess. I don't know. I was just trying to think of another theory on why maybe she directionally got confused.
Yeah.
I mean, the sun. That's all. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I have more thoughts on it, but I don't want to sound stupid.
Well,
so.
no, I'm just going to question you on it if I don't understand it. Make me understand it. I'm not doing it from that direction. I'm like, okay, does he know something I don't?
No.
What's your off the deep end? I'll play just a quick. Okay, that's it. Now we won't get hit.
Off the deep end. So one of the crazy comments I saw on Reddit said that in the very remote interiors of Tasmania, there's local cannibal families that live there, like off the grid.
Oh, okay.
And so potentially maybe she ran into one of these cannibal families, and we know what happens next.
Has it been proved that these people actually exist?
I just saw one comment on Reddit.
Okay.
I have no clue, so that's why it's a deep end. I'm gonna
look into that real quick.
I didn't even want to bring it up as an official theory.
Well, that's why it's deep end.
Yeah.
But if these people really exist,
and it's extinct now, but 100 years ago or more, the Tasmanian tiger used to exist on the island. Perhaps it's not actually extinct, and she was killed by a Tasmanian tiger. Look that up next.
So they're all talking about one guy named Alexander Pierce, who is like 1790 to 1824. That was a cannibal.
Oh,
so nothing recent.
Cannibal ghost.
Yeah, that's actually a good off the deep end. Tasmanian. What'd you say? Tiger.
Tasmanian tiger.
Okay.
Is it coming up? Did I spell it?
Yeah.
It went extinct in like 1909.
The thylacine, Thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, or Tasmanian wolf, is an extinct carnivorous marsupial that was native to Australian mainland. They're not very big. They're like dogs.
Well,
yeah, they're saying its mass is about 30 kilograms.
What's that in pounds?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, you look that up.
Should have done all this before the show.
Well, no, it's like Rogan. You just think of something and then you go on there. Let's see. It's ranged from 39 to 51 inches long, plus the tail.
So that's 30 kilograms is
24
66 pounds.
2 feet tall. So it's like a medium-sized dog.
So maybe a pack of Tasmanian tigers still exists on the island.
Yeah.
I mean, that's deep end.
That's deep end because it's such a small place.
Yeah.
You think they'd see it, but it's a thick forest.
I think my top two theories is I think foul play. I'm putting that ahead of exposure.
I think foul play too.
Just because I'm hung up on how the car is parked. And I'm only hung up on that is because that's really our only evidence.
You're hung up on it because it's bugging you?
It's bugging me because that's not how unless another car is parked there. And I think a close second is exposure. She wandered off trail because of confusion, and because of the thick vegetation. They weren't able to do aerial searching, ground crews, unless, this vegetation looks so incredibly thick, unless you step on somebody, step on a body.
Well,
it might be tough to find.
Image, I can't see this. They might be off trail, but it's just a sideways shot of the searchers walking through the woods, and I can't see a trail. You see half of one of the guys. Yeah. It's 2 feet away, and you're obviously getting a picture of them.
And 15 feet away, you can't see anything.
Yeah, if all three of these people were 10 to 15 feet farther back, you wouldn't see them.
And now think this isn't perfect searching conditions, so they're getting snowed on. It's heavy
very
winds.
wet.
So, these probably are all very skilled searchers, but in those conditions, you're not going to be 100% looking on you're going to be looking at your footing. And I mean, very difficult conditions to search in, thick, the weather was bad. I think all that would tend to perhaps, and the case is so fresh.
Yeah.
we're still in their winter. So they haven't even had summer yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it could very well be next summer, someone stumbles sadly across her remains, once it warms up and there's more people out there. So I think we're also forgetting how fresh this case is.
Yeah. I think there's still the possibility that more will be learned.
Yeah. So I don't know. Those are my theories. It's fun. I mean, not fun because someone's missing, but it's interesting to cover cases that are very recent.
Yeah.
Versus a case that happened 80 years ago.
Yeah, we'll definitely be tracking developments. And if there's any listeners in Australia or Tasmania, to be more specific, and you know anything or hear anything, please feel free to reach out and we'll bring it up in the show. Outside of that, I think my theory kind of goes along with yours.
Yeah.
I think it's foul play, but have no reasonable explanation as to why it's just a gut. I think it's foul play, just based on the fact that her car is there, not even how it's parked. The fact that her car is there means she was there.
Yeah.
So there's only really two things: is she passed away in the elements, and she's somewhere where they're not searching.
She got injured, slipped and fell, something.
Or she was removed from that area.
Yeah.
But she left, or she is still there because of the car.
Yeah.
So I would even say, like, we couldn't say, like, oh, she didn't actually ever go. Like, one of those where there's no, like, it's very clear, like, her mode of transportation is there. So,
yeah.
That's all I got. So,
that's all I got, too.
All right. Make sure you give us your theories or give us information that you think it could be. Thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate all of you for listening and sharing Locations Unknown with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Oh, no, Instagram and X and YouTube, where you can find the videos of each episode. Also, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some cool swag. Additionally, you can subscribe on Patreon, Apple subscriptions, now YouTube subscriptions, X subscriptions, everywhere. And that you'll get the extra content for paid customers. Again, if you want to get an idea of what that's like, go on to our latest episode before this one, and you'll listen to our caller segment, which was hilarious and a lot of fun. And lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.